for your leadership and your partnership with the USIBC. Our next guest speaker today is the Consul General, Mike Hankey. So as an American who lived in Mumbai for 10 years, and many of you in the Mumbai community know the Consulate General here in Mumbai of the United States, it's the place for visas and passports and notarizations. It's an opportunity to bring the community together for movie screenings, for events, to reach out to and work with governments, to work with businesses, and never has that been more so the case during the tenure of the Consul General. He's been a great partner of the U.S. India Business Council. He's been a great friend to American business, and we'd like to welcome him to offer his remarks.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Nice to see you. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and USIBC, thanks for having me. To the Secretary, to all my friends from the media, from business on both sides of this relationship, it's so great to see all of you again. Let's set the scene. 50 years ago, when USIBC was founded, the U.S.-India relationship was just coming out of, well, it was 4 years after the birth of Bangladesh. The difficulties in the relationship around that time were apparent. It was the middle of the Cold War, a time when we can recognize that U.S.-India relations were strained by relations with other countries around the world and alignments, very different type of world. 50 years ago, Mumbai only had about 60 crore, about 6 million people. Still a lot, but nothing compared to what you have today. Our consulate was in Breach Candy at Lincoln House, the old Wankener family residence. Shah Rukh Khan was only 10 years old. The angry young man Amitabh Bachchan had just released Sholay that year. And look where we're at now. 50 years later, India and the US represent the relationship that's number one for India for military exercises in any given year. India does more of those with the US than with any other country. The trading relationship in the years that I've been here in Mumbai has been number one for India among all countries. More Indians than from any other country go to the US to study. Almost 4 lakh Indian students are in the US. And then talking about films, you've got Indian films, producers, directors, and musicians winning Oscars at the Academy Awards. So in 50 years, a lot of change is possible. And I credit businesses, I credit industries like USIBC, I credit government partners like the Secretary and others at the national and local levels for helping us make these changes happen. Because this relationship is one of our most important relationships in the world. It's transformative. As India takes on the role of being a leading global power, it is a vital partner for us as we seek to form that world that's free and open and prosperous and rules-bound. Right after our new president was sworn in on the 20th of January, the very first foreign policy meeting that our Secretary of State took was with the External Affairs Minister, Jay Shankar, in Washington. Before with any other country, it was the two of them meeting together. Our president and your prime minister from India spoke in person at the White House on February 13th. And a 33-paragraph joint statement came out of that serves as the blueprint, the guide, the map for where we're going to go next. It's possible in the coming years, based on that relationship and based on the promise outlined in the joint statement, to move forward on a range of different issues. As Suzanne had mentioned, everything from the seas to the stars. And we're tracking the invitation of the Prime Minister to the fellow leaders of the Quad countries for a summit later this year. We're watching a whole range of different industries. All of this is going to be based on trade. The President and the Prime Minister, they announced Compact. That's the Catalyzing Opportunities for Military Partnership, Accelerated Commerce and Technology Initiative. It's a great acronym. Because what it does is it ties together trade, industry, and defense for a real results-driven agenda. Now, here in Western India, I've seen how businesses can help deliver. Everything from the biggest conglomerates to the innovative institutions and the very dynamic workshops that are helping bring fairness, job creation, and national security together in this effort to pursue a $500 billion trade. I believe we can get there. The question of tariffs is much on people's minds. President Trump announced a fair and reciprocal tariff plan, something that seeks to correct long-standing imbalances in international trade and bring back fairness to trade relationships, with some remedies likely to be put in place on April 2nd. Now, this America First trade policy, it promotes investment and productivity, it enhances industrial and technological advances, it defends our economic and national security, and above all, it benefits workers, American workers and manufacturers and businesses. The United States is without a doubt one of the most open economies in the world. Yet, our trading partners often keep their markets closed to our exports, imposing tariffs or other non-tariff barriers, which are fundamentally unfair to American economic interests. As our Director of National Intelligence said last week, Tulsi Gabbard, when she was in New Delhi, America First does not mean America alone. So in that sense, just this week, right now, our American and our Indian trade teams are hard at work. Our U.S. Trade Representative for South and Central Asia, Brendan Lynch, is in the country until March 29th, talking with counterparts, talking with interlocutors as part of our ongoing trade bilateral discussions. And that visit reflects exactly our commitment, our continuing commitment to advancing productive, fair, and balanced trade with India. And we value that ongoing engagement. That ongoing engagement in these discussions, we believe, can lead to constructive, equitable, and forward-looking solutions. Let me give you an example from Western India here of something that we've done exactly on that front in just the last 2 months. We invited the head of the U.S. Ames National Laboratory. It's one of the series of laboratories that were set up after Robert Oppenheimer launched the Manhattan Project in the 1940s. The Ames National Lab in Iowa is at the cutting edge of critical minerals research on batteries, magnets, synthetic materials to replace rare earth materials, and then the supply chains to deliver them. And he came out here to Pune and Mumbai, and then he went to Bangalore and Chennai to talk with the auto clusters in these cities to see what could we do with joint research to establish together a research pipeline for next generation materials and the supply chains to provide them, so that we as friendly countries, as partners on the global stage, could deliver what we wanted to see for the next generation for energy and mobility. And these kinds of new partnerships are the way that we can grow relationships. This is an illustration of what we can do together, India and the United States, to shape that world that I mentioned that's free and open and prosperous. Again, taking a look at what our Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, said when she was in Delhi last week. She was looking at a range of different industries. As Suzanne mentioned 5 minutes ago, these include cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, as well as advanced critical technologies. And we have an opportunity now to see growth across all of these that brings our countries tighter together and that also advances business opportunities. A foundation for all of this is going to be in education. I mentioned the 3.5 lakh Indian students who are studying in the United States. This is both an economic benefit to the United States, which I know USIBC recognizes as well as a strategic tie between our two countries. So, recognizing the importance of that, our President and our Prime Minister on February 13th mentioned in their joint statement a dedication to increasing collaboration in education. And that includes building centers of excellence. We launched one almost 2 years ago right here. My good friend who I see just came in from the Israeli consulate. This is a joint center of excellence in Pune on cybersecurity. And we're looking to see what we can do in other issues, critical minerals, artificial intelligence, quantum research. Where can we go with this concept? That's what we're exploring right now, and I invite businesses and government partners in the room to work with us and see where we can take it. We're looking at opening up offshore campuses of U.S. universities. I had a meeting last week with a U.S. university that has committed already and will be announcing soon publicly to open their campus right here in Mumbai. It's this kind of movement that we want to see. As businesses in India look to expand, and they should, businesses in India are working at the cutting edge of many technologies. They can bring great products to the world. We want to see them come to the United States. One of the best ways to do that is by coming to our premier summit, the Select USA Summit in Washington. This year it's May 11th to 14th, where we'll have our version of India's competitive federalism. We'll have all 50 states gathered, competing for the privilege of hosting Indian businesses, competing to give the very best tax, land, and utilities offerings so that we can do better business together. So I don't just look back over these last 50 years and consider how far we've come from that decade of the angry young man in the films. I'm also looking to the future. And it's really exciting to be here with USIBC, with our partners from the Indian government, with our partners from American and Indian businesses to see what we can do together. To see what we can do together, perhaps to write another verse to that great song, Ye Dosti, and then 50 years from now, we'll get Atul Ketchup back to sing that new verse. Thank you all very much. Congratulations to USIBC.